welcome back for a Better Day podcast. I am joined here with, I'll just go with how you put it on. You want Justin or do you want JD Kingsley to get that going?
Yeah, I'm trying to get that
JD Kingsley, and he just launched his new channel, and I wanted to bring him on to talk about the background of that, what inspired it, how it came to be, and also just catch up with an old friend that I haven't talked to in a while, a fellow brother in Christ. So welcome on, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I was really excited when you hit me up and asked me if I could do this.
Yeah, the first thing I was wondering, I had heard from, when talking to Uriel, it was just months ago or even longer, you were thinking about doing a gaming channel. So what switched from that into spoken word?
Well, honestly, I've been writing poetry for years. Writing is the only subject that after high school I actually pursued on my own. And I think I enjoyed it far more because there wasn't the boundaries of hey, here's a paper, write it, with A, B, and C, write the rough draft. I like free writing. So I've been doing that for years. And honestly, the first idea I had was to do a gaming channel with a buddy. It was 2 a.m. We were, tired, giggling and all that. We're
right.
Yo, we should do a channel. But at the same time, someone had challenged me to publish my poetry, and I was like, oh man, I can't do that. And he told me to censor it. He said, man up, get out there, what do you got to lose? So just decided to work more on the writing itself, and was able to, by the grace of God, get a couple of people willing to help out with filming and stuff like that. And
what made you want to go in the route of having it on video instead of just doing it on a blog or just publishing it on the art scene?
Right. I think for myself personally with video, I get distracted easily. So if I'm listening to something, it's very easy for me to zone out without even, being aware of it. So I think the combination of the audio with the visual to help personally keep myself focused is great. And also, you never know. Maybe someone will see it and be like, hey, this kid can act, he can write. I want people to see more than just, the writing. I want them to be able to see potentially, multifaceted abilities. I don't know. We'll see. I might not be able to act worth a darn, but we'll see what the content sounds like.
I mean, it might start out a little rough. I'm not saying it's going to, but that's something that you can easily grow into the more you get comfortable doing it.
Right. Absolutely.
Even, I'm not saying I'm a master behind a microphone, but starting it out of when I was in my apartment and just recording on my own, it was very awkward. And I was like, I can't even go 20 minutes and I got to keep talking. I don't even know what I'm doing. What am I talking about? But
Googling stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But, the more I've been doing it, the easier it is to just be behind a mic and talk. And I don't know how good I am, but I feel comfortable at least. So I'm not,
you sound all right.
I'm not forcing myself to do it.
Right. No, I understand.
Got your notebook there. I'm just wondering, did you have anything written in there at all?
Honestly, I grabbed the notebook in case anything came to mind that I would go down.
Cool. I was just
talk about later on, but I got nothing written down at the moment.
Then I'm curious about the new your first video. It's called A Mental Breakdown Anxiety Part 1.
Correct.
What's the theme behind? Obviously, you can kind of get a picture of the title, but what was that? I have my first project. Why was it that one?
Well, first of all, it's a double entendre. A mental breakdown. You can have a mental breakdown and then also break down. Let's talk about it. So it's double entendre. Excuse me. So personally, I've struggled with mental health for many years. First time really came into the light. I had a breakdown. Was hospitalized when I was 18. Kind of has struggled off and on with that. A lot of different things have been used to try to help. Some good, some bad.
Right.
And writing was one of those things that I was using throughout that time period. If I was angry, if I was, suicidal even, if I was, whatever type of feeling was going through my mind, oftentimes I'd just pick up the pen so I could get it on paper, And even back then I felt like maybe I'd be able to use some of it down the road once I kind of had been pulled out of that depression some. But that's really where it started, and I just have such a passion for mental health. It's amazing how many people you talk to, and they're like, oh, yeah, I have such bad anxiety, or, hey, I've been depressed.
It's rampant, man.
It really is.
Bad.
It really is, and, COVID hasn't helped whatsoever. So just kind of the idea of getting something out there. It's going to be, I think, a 5-part series. I got Anxiety Part 1's already done. I'm going to be filming that tomorrow. By the grace of God, that'll be released next Friday. which I'm blanking out on the date off the top of my head.
Yeah, dude, I never know what day it is.
I think it's October 29th. So I'm looking at my calendar here.
Yep, that's next Friday, 29th.
Okay, cool. So hopefully that'll drop. JD Kingsley on YouTube. Feel free to drop a subscribe, like, and hit that bell notification. Anyway.
Yep, I'll have a link in the subscription to his channel
awesome,
for you
appreciate
guys.
it. So, yeah, just trying to, show different parts of that. So anxiety part 1 and 2, and then depression. And then I've been diagnosed with bipolar. Now, I don't let it define me. However, it is definitely something that has, tortured me on and off throughout the years. It's affected me in every area of life. So I already have that one done. Looking forward to releasing that. And then OCD is something that a couple close people I know struggle with. So I think I'd like to try to get one done on OCD. That's not a guarantee, so that's kind of up in the air with that. That'll be down the road a little bit. But
just because it might be a little harder to write about something that you don't personally struggle with?
Correct, yeah. So what I'll probably do is write based on what I've heard and then show it to those people. And if they say, hey, this is what's up, this is how it is, then I'll publish it. The main 2 goals I have, the audience that I'm trying to reach is the first group is those who are struggling with depression, anxiety, mental illness, and don't have a voice. They don't know how to explain what they're going through. They feel alone. I mean, that's the biggest thing about depression is singling you out and telling you that you're by yourself. And then the second group would be those who know people struggling with anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, stuff along those lines.
Right.
So just to try to kind of give them, a idea, of what their loved ones might be experiencing, even though their loved ones might not be able to speak on exactly what's going on,
The thing that I'm excited about, because I obviously, myself, I think I've touched on it on this channel before. I've had my own mental breakdowns myself. I've not been hospitalized from it, but just as easily could have gotten to that point. It's happened 2 to 3 times in my life where I've had to, restart from scratch, rebuilding myself.
Right.
Definitely depression and addiction plagued me since middle school.
Yeah, absolutely.
And writing was a place that I was able to find not that it was curing me, but it was a place to go and vent it out because it wasn't getting vented out any other way.
Right.
And I wasn't pursuing help either, so that's not a good thing. But another thing I'm excited for what you're doing is the fact I'm glad that whoever that was that pushed you to do it, regardless, people might be able to identify with what you're saying,
right.
But the fact that you're doing this by the grace of God and trusting in Him, I think there's going to be people that are hearing it that not only going to identify with it, that are going to be able to actually benefit from it, because I believe that everybody has something in them that you hear a message a million times the same way and nothing, it doesn't change you, but then that one person says it a different way and it just rocks you to your core. So you're going to have words that are going to hit people that it was never going to impact them, but the words that you're going to paint are going to be unique. And that's the beauty of it, that God has, He made you in a uniqueness, and your mind is unique. Definitely. And the art you're going to put out there is going to speak to people and give them hope in a different way that they weren't going to get if when that person who's they think they're going to do it and then they don't do it.
Right.
Then that doesn't get out there, and then people don't hear your voice because everybody has something in them. At least that's what I believe.
Right. No, so absolutely. Really awesome. And I did want to touch on the last video that I plan on doing in this series is going to be a video more on hope. It's going to be talking more about, kind of talking a little bit about personal victory, the things that worked, having a good family, support, or maybe even not family support, but friend support. Yeah. Looking to cut yourself off from toxic people. You mentioned drug addiction. That was something I had turned to for years. So just cutting off that group of friends. Not that you don't care about them and want them out of that addiction, but knowing that you have to remove yourself from a toxic situation. So just combination of just kind of putting that out there of the Lord and my faith, but it's more than that per se. God has given me good friends, to help me through this journey. God has given me a wonderful mom and brother who have supported me and prayed for me even when I was, lines deep in addiction day after day after day. So, I just want to kind of share that, not even kind of, I do really want to portray that victory is possible. It's not easy, as the first few poems will show. I still struggle. Right. But victory is possible in most moments. You're able to fight it, And that's something I think a lot of people really need to hear, because I know for myself, I didn't think I could fight anything. For the longest time, it took 6, 7, 8 years dealing with depression, for months out of the year before I ever got to a point where I felt any victory.
Yeah, you just kind of, at least for me, like I just kind of accepted this is just how it's
Right.
going to be.
And there's kind of an, not even kind of, I would say there is an identity in it. You know when you go to bed, you're going to wake up, you're going to be miserable, life is going to suck, you're not going to want to do anything, you probably won't want to eat. Either that or you're going to want to eat everything in the house. A shower is going to be difficult. The list goes on and on. That's what it is, that that the next day is going to hold that. So there's some solace in that. At least there was for me. And just willing to make those little changes, whether it's just switching up a diet, or going to a therapist once or twice a week, just willing to, seek that help, whether you think it'll work or not. If you're willing to seek it, there's things out there that'll definitely help to relieve that burden some.
And then I'd also encourage whatever anybody's seeking out there, as long as you're seeking God in that as well. Like I think that's really huge. And it's definitely something that has been
And just to say, I mean,
out of culture.
Right, exactly. And just to say, I mean, I struggled with suicidal thoughts for a while. I was hospitalized a few times. I'm not at all knocking hospitalization. I'm not knocking, seeking out help. If you are suicidal and are making plans, please seek help. Mm-hmm, there's some good places out there that'll help you. But it's more than that as well, moving forward.
So when you're going through this series, is a series just... So when this video drops, is it going to be you kind of monologuing and then sharing poetry? Is it just going to be the poetry and then it'll go on to the next one? How's the structure going to look like for these videos?
Yeah, so I got the first one kind of hammered down. What the first one's going to kind of look like, just give a little sneak peek on your channel first.
All right, cool.
It's I'm going to be in a room. It's going to be all bright, kind of whitewashed. And I have a friend of mine who very much looks like a therapist, according to another buddy of mine. And he agreed to, he's going to sit down and ask me a couple questions. I'm going to respond. And it's just going to kind of like kick into like, all right, yeah, let me tell you what I'm feeling. Hey, you've been telling me the journal stuff. My mind's a mess. I'm too anxious to think. Can I just read you what I got? Type thing. And then, then just go from there. So that's kind of what the first one's going to look like. I had the trailer professionally done. It was a huge blessing, good friend of mine, but he's just too busy to film anything else. So we're gonna have some new filming, some new editing. Right. I know the audio will be good. I spent money on a nice mic, but we'll see how that video might be a little.
So each video will have they'll have a little spin like that though for each video.
Right. Yeah.
You'll be coming up with.
Okay. I plan on trying to have some little story between in each video. And that's just even moving forward past the Mental Breakdown series. Right. I have dozens of poems that some of them will definitely turn into videos down the road. So.
And we got a little bit of a glimpse in that trailer video of kind of your writing style. Does it vary at all, or is that pretty similar to how you write most of the time?
Well, it does vary. As I've grown as a person, as I've grown as a writer, I've learned how to do different styles. More so just to expand my horizons. Then because I actually like to write in a lot of different styles. Like I personally think poetry should always rhyme, at least the majority of the time. In high school, I was like dumbfounded that you got stuff like some of Dickinson's stuff, like none of it rhymes. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, what is this? This isn't poetry, man. Like what in the world? So most of my poetry rhymes. I do have a few free verses that more just flow. But yeah, I would say that video encaptures pretty well who I am as a poet and a writer. That was the goal. So I'm glad that came through.
Awesome, man. Awesome. What is your goal in any of this, other than, I know there was that mission to get that out there, get your message out there. Somebody challenged you to just go through with it. Right. But what would you like to see done with this?
I mean, honestly, first and foremost, it's about helping people, and honoring and glorifying God, who's given me this ability and given me this story. But I'd like to make a full-time career out of it, out of YouTube. I know there's a lot of money that can be made in that, and it's not all about the money, but if I can support a family.
Right, but making it sustainable.
Right. I mean, honestly, if I was going to tell you where I'd like to be in like a year or 2 years, 3 years, like the dream for me would be creating videos with a full-time, team to help, and then being able to go around traveling, whether it's speaking at schools, at churches, at youth groups, something along those lines, being able to share my story in more than just a written form. So people, can come up to me. So that kid who's like, hey, I heard your music and I didn't put a bullet in my head that night, or hey, I heard your music and it gave me hope. I cried out to God for the first time and I was saved. Just to be able to meet the fans or meet people that are struggling, because there's like something awesome about knowing that someone can relate, but it's so much more meaningful if you can go shake their hand, if you can go talk to them. I mean, I've cried in people's arms. I have no problem doing it. That's for me the dream. Sustainable income with the ability to travel and help others through speaking or projects. I mean, down the road there's some books I'd like to write, but that's toward the that's toward the end of this journey. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Have you ever done anything like that before? Any kind of like short story or anything? Or would be a new venture?
No, I wrote a few in middle school and high school, which will never be published. But yeah, I mean, for myself, I have a short attention span. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll release an ADD, ADHD video down the road. But for me, it's easier just to write poetry in a free write, because then I'm pretty much done with it.
Right.
There are a few small edits here and there, but for the most part, what you're gonna get is original. I don't change a whole lot, because I want you to feel the rawness of the emotion of what I was going through when I wrote it.
Yeah. Is that like if you do write a book, is that like a life story, biography, or what does that look like? In your mind? I know. I'm honestly
not.
Ideas.
I'm honestly not sure. I think some of it will be. I'd like to write a book itself on mental health, and I know I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. However, you don't need to be to overcome.
Right.
Those
I mean,
things.
if you've lived it, man, like that's more experience than
right.
Not to diminish anybody who's in the field.
Oh, absolutely
studied
not.
It, but it's a different perspective
right.
when like you've lived through it.
I've had some, one particular amazing psychiatrist. I've had some good therapists. A lot of respect,
Same.
A lot of love for them. They're doing the Lord's work, and that's fantastic. But to be able to take it from someone with no degree and just like personal experience, I think would be cool. And then, I'd like to write something fantasy.
Okay.
I think that'd be cool. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Amen.
A huge nerd. It's the best trilogy ever, both written and on film, in my opinion. So it could just be a fanboy book to Tolkien, as they say. But hey, Stephanie Myers was a fangirl, fan letters to what was it? I forget, but
I'm not too sure myself.
Yeah, but I mean, Twilight's now a thing because of her fangirl letters to.
Right.
It might have been J.K. Rowling, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Don't quote me on that one.
No, you're fine, man. You did the plug that I unintentionally had you on to do, is to just plug Lord of the Rings, man. that is.
Hey, dude. Anytime I can mention, I'm going to.
That's my stuff, man. That inspires me. And,
yes, sir.
I mean, you can tell like it's definitely kind of like godly backed the way that he wrote about life, and it's all about hope and everything. And
I think that's really cool too. Is just to play off that, like he did not intend Lord of the Rings to be an allegory. At least he swore up and down that was not the case. But you can see the allegorical comparisons, and I think that's just really Christ coming out in him. The way his life is, the way he was changed, comes out in his work. And I really want that. Something I forgot to mention earlier. I really want that to show in my writing. It's not only relatable, but there's something different about this guy. What does he have that I don't? Because I've tried therapy, I've tried friends, I've tried, diets, I've tried this, and that, and none of it's working. And for me to be like, hey, man, that's all great steps, but you need Christ. God's going to help you through this. He's not going to wipe it all away. Your life isn't going to be easy, but you're going to have that support that you've never had before from your Heavenly Father.
Amen, man.
So, yep.
Is there anything that you would want to get out there?
I mean, first of all, I'm just going to huge shout out to you. Subscribe to this channel. It's pretty awesome. I like if you appreciate the subscriptions. Blessings to everyone who has already subscribed. But I think one of the things that I could definitely use would be prayer. I've been blessed with enough money for startup. That's not a problem by the grace of God. But just prayer that, my mind would be focused on the mission to honor Christ first. I know how easy it is to start focusing on money, because if the money starts rolling in, it's so much easier to compromise, or to be like, oh, I'm going to take these words out of this poem because I don't want to offend this group, and I want to make sure I get, these 10,000 views from these atheists here, and I don't want to mention God or the Bible. And that's not what it's about. It's not first and foremost, it's about money. The Lord will provide the finances. It's, he just wants me to speak the truth. So just prayer that I would keep my eyes focused on him first and foremost, and that God would expand the channel. There are guys out there with 700,000 subscribers that are preaching the gospel a couple times a week on there. releases, and that'd be a
Right.
cool spot to be at, someday.
No, prayer is not something I think you need to worry about. I'll definitely be praying for you, man. And
I appreciate that. I'm blessed to have a good prayer team behind me, just for life in general, man.
and
sure.
keeping on that mission is important. I didn't start this with any intent in money, but like I had like a different kind of mission, and this came from God starting this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I definitely got away from making it Christ-centered, and it was more just about what I wanted to do.
Right, I understand.
So even just hearing what you were going to do, like, I just knew it was going to be something Christ-centered, so I wanted to, other than helping a friend as well, I just felt that this was a good direction, and I want to get back to that.
I appreciate it.
And I have been getting back to that in my life. Not that I hadn't been, because like he's taken me through like these past 3 years, like an incredible journey. But then these past few weeks, like rediscovering like the intimacy that I once had with God again. So I don't know if this channel itself is going to be a little bit re-geared, but I think it'll have some of the same things that I was doing with political stuff and whatnot. But I want to make sure that God is the center of it, because it wasn't.
Yeah, man.
So I think this was a good way to rekindle that and go forward and just continue to have, it's got to be Him.
Yeah, I mean, something I've learned that, God doesn't take us out into the desert to leave us there. However, if we're not willing just to be still and wait on the Lord and we start moving, that's when we walk away from His plan. And then the more time we're in the desert without water, the living water, the harder it becomes. And I'm right there with you, man. These last few weeks have been kicking my butt as far as spiritual growth. As iron sharpens iron, I've had friends rebuke me and challenge me, and still getting there, man. Lifelong sanctification process.
Yes.
But I'm far from perfect. Anybody who might hear this, I just want to tell you, like, I'm no better than you. If you're still stuck in addiction or stuck in, deep depression, I've been there. I'm no better than you. And, I'm praying for you. So feel free to hit me up.
Yeah, man. I think that'll about cover it, man. I wanted to get as much as everything I was interested in finding out about this. I think I got a good background of it. I think what you're doing is amazing, and I hope that God blesses it. So, like I said before in the beginning, the channel name is J.D. Kingsley Spoken Word Poetry. Go check it out on YouTube. There'll be a link down in the description. I will post this to my YouTube channel and on the Rumble, and I'll put that on social media as well for you.
And that's Kingsley, Kingsly. I've had a lot of people ask me why there's no E in there. I just chose not to put an E. So, yep.
Whatever works, man.
Hey, any subscriptions are greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yep, no problem, man. This has been For a Better Day podcast. I've been truly blessed to be joined here by J.D. Kingsley. And have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.